We out here doing this walkabout, man. What it do, what it do? Think I'll be putting too much liquid cayenne in my damn water. That joint be burning me, try it, start burning it, see? Try. What's going out there in this YouTube realm, man? No, I ain't been on the scene for a bit. I mean, still out here raising the vibe, man. See, I'm out here doing my little walkabout. Man, peaceful place right here, son. Straight up. Nice, calm, quiet. How these spiritual folks say? Amongst nature. You got to get back to nature. We're with nature right now. You know what I'm saying? They look at nature as the jungle, son, but nature ain't the jungle, son. You know what I mean? This whole planet is a systematic nature design. The whole purpose of being here is to leave here, not repeat. Hurry it up. There's other systematic designs out there that the higher gods created that's waiting for us to tap into. You ain't supposed to get trapped in the earth plane. But y'all already know how that is, man. I mean, shout out to everybody in the chat. You know what I mean? You got tats on your face and neck. Can you reverse the damage? It's up to you, God. You know what I mean? God can reverse time, fast forward time. You know, they could do whatever they want with time, son. You know what I'm saying? It all got to do with the reason behind it or the results behind it. You know what I mean? All got to do with the results. You know what I mean? You got authentic God markers, and that would be the integrity of your soul vibration. That's the real God markers. As I stated before in past videos. Check them archives. Archives is heavy. You know what I mean? Archives is heavy, bruh. But we got the authentic God markers. These artificial God markers like a crucifix and a rosary and a church and a pope and a Jesus Christ and Allah and the Kufi and the Medea rug, the mosque, the Mecca, the Moorish Fez, all those artificial God markers, the Holy Bible, the Quran, those are artificial God markers, man. You know what I mean? Those markers don't really represent God, the real God. You know what I'm saying? We, the souls, are direct, losing the connection. I stated that they got these cats, these agents for the beast out here. You know what I'm saying? But we, the authentic markers that represent them. And that comes in the form of a vibration. It's not so much a physical. Vibrations that represent the gods, the real gods. They do not so much come in a physical description. How you vibe, it ain't got nothing to do with good or bad. You know what I mean? It ain't got nothing to do with good or bad. Because everything down here is results. Talking about when I was speaking in that video about the result of good or bad. Now you hear most people say things like it ain't no such thing as good or bad, but they don't really go into the intensity and break it down on a level where you can compute what is being relayed. You know what I mean? It's all results. There is no good or no bad. It's all results. It has always been and always will be results. Now, you could determine the results as good or bad in regards to what you were aiming to receive from doing certain things. For instance, a comedian is on stage. He's telling a joke. Now, you got people that laughed when he told the joke. So he feels good. You know what I'm saying? He's looking at that as a good response. You know what I mean? But all that is identifying is that the way how the wording was conveyed when you was telling a joke to that person, it triggered a response in them that made them laugh. It's results. Now, he could be telling the same joke, but you will have certain people in the audience that won't laugh. Now, he would look at that as, damn, that's bad. They not laughing at my joke. I might have to switch it up. You know what I'm saying? But if you look at the so-called good when they laughing, or at the so-called bad when they not laughing when he telling a joke, it's all results. If you get rid of the good and the bad, you see it for what it is. It's results. You know what I mean? You are guaranteed to get results. That's undebatable. That's an undebatable fact. Whenever you do something, you will always get a result. That's it. The good and the bad cause the confusion. You know, where people just want to focus on good, but they don't realize that good and bad is the same thing, because they all produce results. The opposite of laughing is not laughing. The same wave band. Giving all different body languages when one laugh, when one don't laugh, but ultimately they're getting results. You know what I mean? When you understand what it is, everything makes more sense. You get out of the ego of the good and the bad, and you see it that it's all just results. It's all results. If you see everything as results, when you do something, let's say you do something and you try to achieve a certain results, and you qualify that as failing, and then you get mad. If you was to do the same thing and didn't achieve the results that you wanted and didn't see it as failing, but you actually passed because you gained results. You know what I mean? The results, you could look at the results as you acquiring more knowledge. You acquired more knowledge on how something reacted to how you interacted with it. That's all it is. You're getting more knowledge. Why are you mad? Because you are receiving more knowledge. You know what I'm saying? You're down here to learn lessons. Accumulated lessons is an abundance of knowledge. So if you do something and you fail, you should be happy. So speak the language. If you want to throw emotions in it, you should be happy when you fail, because you just acquired knowledge. You just got results. You know what I mean? Now you take that results and you build off it. It's always results. But you know, the ego came into play, and they want people to just focus on the good. And then you got certain people who focus on the bad. They don't realize that the ego is good and bad. The ego isn't only bad as how these people try to make it seem. You know what I'm saying? Like whenever they speaking about the ego, they would try to put it in a negative light. The ego is positive and negative. It's the artificial you. The artificial consciousness operates off of positive and negative polarities. The ego operates off of positive and negative polarities. The likes, the dislikes, the love, the hate, the happy, the sad. You know what I'm saying? That's the up and the down, the left and the right, which is all perceptions. Perceptions is a thought pattern. A thought pattern is a glitch. That is a glitch. Anything that is entrapped in a positive and negative thinking beacon is a glitch. It ain't good and it ain't bad. It's results of someone who is being manipulated by perceptions. You know what I mean? That's why I say go beyond perception. We the gods, we beyond perception. The hell with perception. You could use perception when you're moving through this realm. You know what I'm saying? Like the wise man playing the role of a fool. Because sometimes you got to be a Clark Kent. When you walking around these dun-dun-dun-duns, you can't take your suit off and let them know you're Superman. Because they ain't going to be able to handle the truth. So sometimes you got to throw that Clark Kent uniform on, son. In other words, sometimes you got to blend in with the humans. Not be one of them. Cloak and blend in and move through whenever it's necessary, son. You know what I mean? You just got to move through. That's something that you're going to have to deal with down here. You're going to have to learn how to put the cloak on when it's necessary. You know what I mean? To achieve results. You know what I mean? To achieve results. You're going to have to put that cloak on. Straight up. So, man, the tattoos, bro, yo. Do what you got to do, player. You know what I mean? You know what you already know what you got to do, man. You gotta tell you what you gotta do. You already know what you gotta do, bruh. What it do, what it do. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Peace. You was lost, didn't know you was doing my something. We was all lost, man. You know what I'm saying? We was all trapped in polarities. Now a lot of us is breaking through that positive and negative wave band. A lot of us is waking up out of that, son. You know what I mean? We wasn't, see, being asleep or being unconscious, like how they talk about in the conscious community, when they be like, well, I was once unconscious, then I came into the knowledge that I'm from Egypt and Africa and Kemet, and you know, we was kings and queens. They still unconscious. Those people are not awoke, man, because they still in the positive and negative polarity, son. You know, in other words, they still looking at things emotionally. We was kings and we was queens and we ruled over the planet. Those are egotistical titles. A king and a queen. Ruling. Do you really think the real gods who created all of this, these planets, stars, moons, galaxy, give a damn about a title known as a king or a queen? Or a god, even a title known as a god? You think they care about that? You think they care if people acknowledge that? We talking about beings that have the power. See that, right? You see that power right there, son? The power to create energy. The power to create energy. You know what I mean? You think they give a damn about a title known as a king? You think they give a fuzzuk about a freaking pyramid and some tombs full of gold? Think they give a damn about them headdresses that these people be wearing, fronting like they gods, man? Hell to the no, man. Only people who are trapped in a positive and negative spectrum care, period. You You know what I mean? Meaning that they are emotionally manipulated, son. Doesn't mean that they heartless, because to be heartless is to be emotional. You know what I mean? But these gods, they, man, they way beyond a damn Egypt, pyramid, Africa, hieroglyphs, ruling kingdom, queens, kings, gold, emeralds, rubies, diamonds. They way beyond that crap, man. That's what peasants worship. That's what emotional creatures worship, man. You know what I'm saying? That's all trash of the gods. You know how they say one man's trash is another man's treasure? Man, all them pyramids, them rubies, them golds, the land, the earth, all that stuff is trash. It's trash. You know what I mean? It's trash. When you compare it to these higher gods, man. They're on a whole nother wave band. You know what I mean? So it's like, but these people, they trapped in the positive and negative, so they still unconscious. You know what I mean? The day you realize what emotions really is, that's the first sign of you waking up for real. That's the first reading. It ain't got nothing to do with no reading no book, going to some lecture, watching a DVD, somebody sitting up here telling you that you was once a king and a queen, because a king and a queen is beneath a god. Notice that the kings and the queens, they all have counsel or assistants who whisper in their ear. You know, like they show you the when they show you these depictions of a Jesus or an angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other, and it was whispering in the ear. You know what I'm saying? A king and a queen is taking subliminal orders, because they're trying to make it seem like they assisting the king and giving them pointers and things like that. But they really represent a higher entity, you know what I'm saying, than the king, because they whisper in the king and the queen's ears, like a subconscious mind, subconscious thoughts, and persuade them to do certain things. A king and a queen ain't ruling a goddamn thing. That's why I stated before, when they talking about when we were so-called kings and queens, that's when we already fell. All those titles represent like your rank getting pulled. You know what I mean? God, king, queen, pharaoh, soldier, warrior. You know what I mean? American, African, black, nigga. Those are all titles that represent a state of perception. Those are degrees of mind control. Those are all degrees that exist when you was up under mind control. And you still up under mind control. Because to be up under mind control is to be in the positive and negative spectrum and being ruled by it. If you're being ruled by the negative and positive polarity, you are completely up under mind control, because the mind vibrates on a positive and negative polarity. You know what I mean? That's why I say you got to go beyond the mind. You got to go beyond all that. You know what I mean? I was on the mind wagon way back in the day, and there's plenty of times I said in them videos that that mind it ain't resonating. You know what I mean? It ain't resonating. But I was throwing it off. I'm like, I'm gonna get on the mind in a little bit. You know, I ain't thinking about it right now, but you know, that whole mind, moon thing, you know what I mean? It made sense. After a while, it started to make sense, and I started thinking about it, son. You know what I mean? That is something that's needed for demons occupying vessels, and unfortunately, the damn souls on the planet right now, to receive stellar communications. That's how they receive their stellar communications, by way of the mind field that's around their brain. You know what I'm saying? In other words, the planets send signals, these moons that we're on. Yeah, my man flying down here. These moons that we on. Earth is a moon. You know what I mean? Earth is a moon. These moons that we on, the inhabitants on this planet require a mind. All creatures have a mind. Even an ant have a mind. It's a field that's around their head that gives them the ability to receive planetary instructions. For instance, you could look at it. You could look at sometimes when it's about to be a crazy weather storm. Now you could look in the sky; it could be clear like this, but it will be a crazy storm that's coming. Clear like this, but a crazy rainstorm, tsunami storm coming. You will catch animals just moving in by the thousands, the herds, to the higher mountains. You will catch them. They are receiving stellar communications from the planets and telling them to move, and that's because they have the mind. They have the mind. That's what the mind is for. The mind is an instrument that is used for planets to communicate with the subjects that live on the planet. The moon, Earth, all these damn fake suns out here, these planets in this soulless system. You know what I mean? Insects do it. You know what I mean? They all have a mind. You know what I mean? They got the two antennas. What the two antennas got to do with positive and negative polarities. The positive and negative polarities. These creatures and these humans that ultimately only operate on positive and negative polarities, that is the vibration of clones. That is the spectrum of clones. Clones exist in a spectrum of light, and that's positive and negative wave bands. And those wave bands have a series of colors: black and white, black and white. That's ultimately the spectrum that clones vibrate off of. You know what I mean? No hue. Human. No hue. No color. You know what I'm saying? In other words, not so much having a color as in a skin complexion, but having a color in regards to vibrations that would allow them to tap into realities that's beyond artificial. They can't do it. They need us to do it. Because we got the ability to do that. We got the ability to tap into other realms and bring things from other realms here. All these movie directors, when they're doing a seance, they have to have at least one carbonated being in the circle when performing the seance, because that one carbonated being serves as the window. They serve as the portal. They just using that person as a portal so they all could look through. But without that one person, that one carbon man or carbon woman in that seance, they would not be able to see nothing. Nothing. You know what I mean? They won't be able to see nothing outside of these fake realms. Straight up. Nothing. So that's the frequency of the clones. You know what I mean? So, like I stated before, I'm off that mind wagon, son. We beyond the mind, son. This ain't got nothing to do with good or got nothing to do with bad. It got to do with identifying the obvious, man. The obvious is that there's a lot of mind games being played, son. A lot of mind games. Coronavirus is a mind game. Vaccines is a mind game. You know what I'm saying? They play a lot of mind games. You know what I'm saying? What the beast is, this is something that I also stated in a video, that they created an artificial mind over Earth. I also spoke about the mind control helmet. Check out that video. Spoke about the mind control helmet, and that they wasn't reading, they wasn't so-called reading minds or reading brain waves with the helmet that they had on these people's heads in these labs when they talking about we trying to study brain wave patterns. No, that helmet was creating minds. That's a mind create helmet. You know what I mean? They was learning the science on how to create minds. So you know, if they was doing the experiments with creating the minds, now they would have to create an infrastructure where they could send signals to the minds that they created. And how did they do that? When they built the satellite network around Earth. The satellite network around Earth is an artificial mind that's around this planet. You know what I mean? So they use that because if you look at the satellites that they have around Earth, if you look and see how they design, if you look closely at these satellites, you will see that they have pyramids in it, they have hexagons in it, they have cubes in it, spherical designs. They have all these sigils in the makeup of these satellites. That's why I stated before, these photon codes that's coming from the sun, they look like pyramids, they look like cubes, they look like stars, spheres, hexagons, but it's in a natural form coming from the sun. That's how the particles look. You know what I mean? That's how the particles look. Some of it look like when I was talking about the hybrid glyphs, not the hieroglyphs, the hybrid glyphs that they have on the walls. The language of the sun, which is sunlight. That's what some of the microscopic particles of sunlight looks like. You know what I mean? It looks somewhat like those fake hieroglyphs they got on the walls. You know what I mean? So when the beast is sending those signals by way of the satellites, let me walk past. I want to get this music on this joint. When you're looking at the satellites that the beast got around Earth, and it's constantly sending those frequencies that exist in an invisible spectrum that you can't see it, but it's visible. You know what I mean? Your eyes just ain't picking it up, or your antennas ain't just picking it up, because your eyes is a visual antenna. You know what I mean? When they send those signals from those satellites, it looks like squares, triangles, and things like that. Most people might be like, well, how in the hell could those signals from the satellite be a bunch of squares and cubes, microscopic squares and cubes, and it's directing these people? Well, all I got to say is go look at your TV. In fact, I'm doing this live stream right now. This image that you're seeing right now is really millions of nano cubes. Millions of it. If you go get a magnifying glass, turn your TV on, get a magnifying glass, and go all the way up to your TV and look at it, you will see that it is small cubes. Small cubes. All cooperating with each other to give you what is known as a picture. It might look like a picture, but when you get into the go behind the damn curtain, you see that it's all sigils. It's all sigils that's programming you. So that's the same thing the beast is doing with the satellites. You know what I'm saying? They talking about HARP on Earth. That ain't nothing. They been had HARP up in space. Been had HARP. In fact, the damn pyramids was using HARP technology. You know what I mean? The damn pyramids that they talk about in Egypt, all over the damn planet, was using, as they would call it, prehistoric HARP technology. But that was HARP technology, son, that we was using on a solar level. You know what I mean? HARP technology on a solar level. Because the pyramids always used to shoot an abundance of energy into the ionosphere. You know what I mean? That's the same thing what HARP does. They say it shoots 1 billion watts into the ionosphere and they could manipulate the weather and do all this and all that. Pyramids been shooting energy up into the sky. So, you know, the beasts know exactly how the pyramids was built. They tell you, we don't know how these pyramids was built because, you know, the damn stones weigh tons and tons and we ain't have no machines. You got to realize, machines are not only metallic apparatuses. They want you to see a machine as something that has metal and all these gears, levers, and shifts and things like that. Like you need a crane to lift this up. Nature is a machine. Water is a machine. The air, particles, how it behaves, that's a machine. It's all technology. You know what I mean? They know exactly how the pyramids was built because they mimic the science with HARP. They just keep you in the positive and negative. Yeah, we were so advanced that they don't even know how the pyramids was built. But meanwhile, HARP was doing the same thing the pyramids was doing. You just ain't paying attention because you caught up in the emotions of the ego of you being a king and so smart, lining planets up with stars, mathematics, this and all that. Man, the hell with all that. You know what I mean? So they created the satellite network to manipulate the life on the planet. You know what I mean? Those satellites would be artificial zodiacs. Because just as the zodiacs, which make up a solar system, speaking of language when I say that, zodiacs make up a solar system. They create satellites, and the way how they design satellites, they place planetary bodies or planetary energies in the satellite that exist beyond this solar system. That's why you will hear them sometimes name the satellites after zodiacs. It'll be a coded term for a zodiac out there. All these names they come up for these satellites is encoded zodiac titles. You know what I mean? So they know they don't have to wait for a moon phase for a specific energy to exist in this realm. Because because all energies that have to do with moon phases is created energy. It's all created energy. They have instruments that could create energy. Satellites do that. So they don't have to wait for a moon phase or a planetary alignment to get this certain kind of energy existing in this planet for something to happen. They could engineer it and make it happen. You know what I'm saying? They could conjure up that energy by doing certain rituals on the planet. Just like how back in the days we used to do rituals, make it rain, snow, and things like that. They do the rituals in the form of mass shootings, crimes, police brutality, hanging, racism, Black Lives Matter. That's rituals. Whenever people congregate together, that is a ritual being performed. And they doing it simultaneously. You got NASA, they say NASA launched a shuttle in space when all this stuff was going down, named the Dragon. You know what I mean? And they got the satellites in space formulating that energy dynamic that represent that the draconial constellation, so they can engineer moon phases. This is something that they've been doing. They've been engineering moon phases. Meanwhile, they telling you that you need to wait for a planet to align in order for you to do something. You know what I'm saying? They ain't waiting. Why the hell would God need to wait when we are beings that's beyond time? You know what I mean? So the game is being played heavily on the God race. And the only reason why these demons got one up on the souls is because the souls still believing. They still feeling. In other words, they still trapped in polarities. They still trapped. They still trapped. You know what I mean? They are, a lot of them are clones. So a lot of them ain't never gonna get out the emotional brackets. They ain't never gonna get out the damn brackets because they clones. You know what I mean? But for the souls who's still on the planet, you already know what you gotta do. Just vibe up. You know what I mean? Just vibe up. That's all you gotta do. Somebody had asked how I use the peppermint oil. Yo, just put it on your finger and put it up in your nostrils. Take a deep breath. It's gonna burn. That burning, you know what I mean, got to do with killing these pathogens and viruses that's in the air that you breathe in every day. And it gets into your lungs and it causes coagulated mucus that you don't even know about. So every time I take this or eat onions or garlic, mucus just start coming out. You know what I mean? Because it's pulling, it's increasing the heat, the temperature of the body, and it's softening up that coagulated mucus that's like stuck to your lungs or stuck to your arteries or veins or whatever it's stuck to. It's breaking that up and it's getting rid of it. That's why I say just because I eat a good diet, that doesn't mean that I'm healthy, son. I'm not one of those people out there to be on it like, well, you know, because I eat a good diet, I'm good. Nah. A diet is one phases that has many phases that has to do with acquiring what we would call health. You know what I mean? And you got to be cleaning out your body every day. You're not taking no laxatives or nothing like that, but you got to be eating foods and doing certain remedies that's going to alleviate toxins, because your immune system never sleeps. The day your immune system go to sleep is the day you begin to start dying. And even though I said there's a lot of people out here not living, they really dying, but when your immune system goes offline, that's when your defense is down. That's when you give in, start smoking cigarettes. That's when you start drinking, start sniffing coke, smoking crack, eating chicken, eating all that fake food. That's signs of a crippled immune system. That's signs that you're on your hands and knees praying to Jesus Christ. That's a sign of a crippled immune system. Because our immune system vibrates on a solar vibration. Not like the humans whose immune system vibrate on a lunar vibration. Ours vibrate on an etheric solar vibration. That's why once upon a time we never used to get sick. Humans with their lunar immune system, they always get sick. Always. You know what I'm saying? But we, on the other hand, the real energy, ether, we never used to get sick. That's because we didn't allow it in. We didn't allow it in. We didn't allow chicken. We didn't allow no damn corn oil, no corn, no peanut butter, jelly, no milk with cereal, corn flakes, frosted flakes, Fruit Loops, Lucky Charms, Cinnamon Toast Crunch. We didn't allow no glazed donuts in, no toasted almond bars, no cinnamon raisin bagels, no cream cheese, no collard greens, no cornbread, no butter, no eggs. We didn't allow none of that in because we already knew what it was. You know what I mean? But now these days, these people voluntarily consume that daily. Why? Because their immune system is damaged, it's crippled, it's not operating on full fledged, it's been overran. When you see these sisters out here with these perm wigs and weaves, that is a sign of a weak immune system. When you see them constantly going into relationships and dealing with the same vibration, just being demonstrated from a different vessel, meaning that they dealing with this one guy, he cheat on them, she get mad, go deal with another guy, she like him, he cheat on her, she get mad, leave, go deal with another guy, she like him. If you deal with somebody because you like them, it will always end on not liking them, because it's the polarities. You know what I mean? You should deal with somebody based off results that is necessary. Get that emotional stuff out the way. That's why relationships don't work, because they are too emotional. Emotional relationships are not real relationships. They are simulations of a relationship. You know what I mean? Because if you got with somebody because you like something about them, what happens when that person is not demonstrating the reason why you got with them in the first place? For instance, let's say you got with somebody, these girls or these guys. These girls, let's say you got with somebody that got a good ass body, as y'all call it. And these guys, you got with a chick, of course, she got a bad body. You know what I mean? Now let's say the guy, he gets you pregnant and he starts slacking off on his workout. You know what I mean? Now it's like, because you fell in lust with his body, now he start getting a flabby gut like Al Bundy. You know what I'm saying? Looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now you ain't feeling him no more. The same thing goes for these guys. They get a nice girl with a bad body. They get her pregnant. She start getting stretch marks, titties sagging, bags under her eyes. She ain't lose the fat that she acquired when she had the baby. Now it's like you ain't even looking at her like that no more. You know what I mean? So it's gonna end on, I ain't feeling you no more. In other words, I don't like you no more. In other words, this was not a real relationship. It was just based on likes. And if you ain't constantly doing what I like, then I will dislike, and then I would leave. That is a fake relationship. 99.9% of the people on the planet have artificial relationships. I spoke about this in past videos. It's not a real relationship. It's not based on anything real. It's based on feelings, which is an illusion. It's based on the ego, polarities, positive and negative. They're always going to achieve the same results because they are exemplifying the same pattern. What's the same pattern? I'm dealing with somebody because I like them. That's the glitch. And they always ask themselves, why I can't find the right man? Because the right man or the right woman, you would never find them based on like or dislike. It would never be based off that. You know what I'm saying? And they don't have what it takes to embrace that. So they will always be in the cycle of the glitch. It will come a day in their life where they would just, man, you know what, man? This is just how guys is. No, it's not. That's how clones are. That's how clones behave. You know what I mean? And you know, they'll just accept it. They'll just write it off. I'ma just deal with it. Because, you know, I'm getting old and I don't want to be lonely. But the reality is you are lonely. No matter if you're in a relationship for 40 years. If that's an artificial relationship, you are lonely. Because you don't know that person. You don't truly know that person. Because if you're judging awareness of a person based off likes and dislikes, you haven't even scratched the surface of getting to know that person. You know what I mean? The only thing that individual was describing to you was his or her ego. That's it. When these people go out on dates, I spoke about that in past videos. Date. The reason why they call it a date is because it's a transference of data. Conversation. giving data to the other person. You tethering data to another computer, biological computer. You know what I mean? So they only telling you about their ego. What do you like to watch? What kind of movies you like? Well, I like these kind of movies. Where do you like to hang out? Well, I like to hang out here. What do you like to do in your spare time? Well, this is what I like to do. Well, I don't like this. What kind of food you like? Well, I like this. Well, I don't like this kind of food. They only describing the ego. And the whole relationship is based on likes and dislikes, which is the ego. So you would never get to know that person for real. And the ego always wants more. The ego is like an archon. Once you give it a sacrifice, it gives you something, and then it wants another sacrifice. The ego knows that the substance that it gave you for the sacrifice is going to run out. It's going to be a matter of time before it run out. And they know that the first hit is like a crack pipe. It's like getting drunk for the first time, getting high for the first time, getting buns for the first time. You get thirsty, you get hooked. So the ego gives you something you think is big. The archon gives you something, you sacrifice something, you know what I mean? And then when it runs out, the archon know you're gonna come back. Yo, man, you know, like the crackhead, yo, man. Or the dude thirsty for some buns. You screamed on her, dunked the phone on her, called her all kind of hoes and bees. Now when you thirsty again, yo, come on, baby. You know I was only playing, man. You know I love you, yo. Yo, come here, man. You're just doing that for what? The buns. Then after you get the buns, the fix, you kick the rocks. So that's what the ego does. You know what I mean? You're dealing with somebody for likes. You get that dopamine release in the brain. Other chemicals make you feel good. You know what I mean? But then it becomes exhausted because the ego always wants more. And then the relationship break up. And the glitch pattern cycle happens all over again. Now you're dealing with somebody else. Thinking that you're dealing with somebody else, but you're actually dealing with the same wave band, just being channeled through a different vessel. Because you focus on the surface, you actually think you're looking at something different. But if you go past the surface and see how they vibrating, you see it's the same as every other clone on the damn planet. Because they all operate off of likes and dislikes. So it don't matter how they dress it up. Ultimately, it's the same vibration. In other words, it don't matter how they dress up Superman, how they dress up Darkwing Duck, how they dress up Batman, how they dress up freaking Hercules, Captain America, Iron Man, Spider-Man. Don't matter how they dress it up. If you go past all the costumes, the characters, you know what I'm saying, where they was born, how they was raised. If you go past all that, you go to the energies, you see it's all positive and negative polarities. You get past all those layers of distractions. The swinging Spider-Man, the Batman and the Batmobile, and the Bat-Hawk. You know what I mean? Superman jumping over buildings, spinning around the earth backwards, stopping planes from falling. Iron Man shooting beams out of his chest. You know what I mean? You get past all of the theatrical distractions. You see it's nothing but positive and negative polarities. Cloaking, pretending to be something different, but ultimately it's the same like and dislike, positive and negative polarities. That's what spirits do. Told y'all they got the ability to cloak. That's one of their biggest weapons is cloaking, because they could cloak into so many different surface descriptions. You won't know that you're actually looking at the same thing. For instance, when you look at Jesus Christ and the devil, that's the same energies. The same energies. They just molded on a surface different, so certain people could gravitate towards one. Those who can't handle the image of the devil, they made that image look like a Jesus Christ. So now they could go to that image. But it's the same thing. When Jesus looks in the mirror, that's the devil. Why? Because Jesus represents the positive polarity and the devil represents the negative polarity, positive and negative energy. So you're looking at the same wave band, two different perceptions, which is the same thing. You know what I mean? Two different perceptions, which is the same thing. Straight up. So these people, these clones, they get lost in polarities, lost in emotions. They not conscious. They still sleeping. And they want you to remain asleep by pulling you into polarities of feelings. Because they know feelings have been working for thousands of years. They know the feeling's been working for thousands of years. They know all they gotta do is trigger that feeling. And they get so-called black people in the paradigm of positive and negative polarity. And they could keep them asleep. You know what I mean? But it's people, carbonated beings is waking up. They realizing about this whole emotional thing. It's nothing but a damn rerun of a Broadway play. You know what I mean? Don't matter if it's a Mike Brown, Trayvon Martin, or this dude George Floyd. It might be different surface descriptions, but ultimately it's the same negative and positive polarity that they manipulate. Don't matter if it's an Emmett Till. You know what I mean? Somebody had asked me about Harriet Tubman. I stated before in past videos, Harriet Tubman is an agent for the beast. Anytime the beast big up somebody, they was more than likely down with the Masonic society. You know what I mean? If Harriet Tubman was even real, and they talk about she freed the slaves, where are the descendants of the slaves who was freed today? Where they at? They want to talk about how she was a brave woman and she freed the slaves. Where the family members of the slaves who was freed? Where they at? Because I ain't never hear about no so-called black man or black woman came out and said, I'm attached to one of this lineage, and if you free, show me the results of you being free. You know what I mean? Show me the results. The results. You know what I mean? That's all a bunch of BS. That's all. That story is like a Masonic theme. Roll, roll, roll your boat gently down the stream. You know what I mean? That's no different than a twinkle, twinkle, little star. Those are all Masonic stories, man. You know what I mean? The orphan. Somebody's in bondage. Somebody comes into the land where these people are in bondage and take them out of bondage. Doesn't that sound like a goddamn Superman story? Goddamn Moses story? Goddamn Batman story? Superman story? Spider-Man story? The humans is in bondage. Superman came from another planet. He came into the land of the bondage, and now he's helping the people get out of the bondage, which have to do with the dangerous circumstances that they in. Oh, they in the middle of the street laying down, a cab about to run over them. That's bondage. He comes, saves them, takes them out of bondage. The whole Harriet Tubman story is fake, man. Malcolm X, all of them is Masons. You know what I mean? All of your so-called black leaders are Masons. All of them. And they all deceive the God race emotionally to get you back in the black program. You know what I mean? All of them. Martin Luther King, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton. They all agents for the beast. All of them. If you know how to read symbolism, you would know this. They ain't about helping or freeing you. They're about keeping you in the polarities. And they're doing a great job. You know what I mean? They set up these stages, make it look like somebody's coming to save you. When the reality is, they pulling you back in positive and negative polarity. They all agents. How is it that all of these so-called leaders all have a Masonic background? Y'all don't find that odd? I find that hella odd. That's a hell of a pattern. That is a hell of a pattern that all of these leaders, so-called black leaders, all got initiated into Masonry. How could you be a natural prophet if you are engineered by the Masons? As I stated before, they create energies. Prophet is a type of energy that they've been creating. They create all kind of prophets. Your damn vaccine is a prophet. Superman is a prophet. You know what I mean? All of these like these anti-terrorist groups, they will be looked at as prophets. Soldiers will be prophets. You know what I mean? Somebody who's there to save you when you're supposed to be saving yourself. You're supposed to be saving self. You know what I mean? Straight up. Hell yeah. That's it. Ain't no titles in the etheric realms. Everybody know what it is, man. Everybody know what it is. Everybody serves a purpose. You know what I mean? Everything on this planet serves a purpose. Serving a purpose doesn't mean it's something good or it's something bad. It's just results. You know what I mean? If you create a pond, you got to create creatures that's going to sustain that pond. Whether that be frogs, catfish, or, you know what I'm saying, all kind of bugs, worms and stuff. They serving a purpose. But it doesn't mean that it's right or that it's wrong. It's based off results. Either way is results. If you want to get specific results, you got to align the energies to give you those results. You know what I mean? If those energies ain't aligned exactly based on the kind of results that you want to get, you're going to get other results, which emotional people would deem as a failure. But scientists, they jot those results down in their log. You know what I mean? They jot it down in their log, and they let it be known, if we do this and this and mix this with this and do that and that, these are the results. Now they don't throw that away, because that's an example of organized chaos. Most people would characterize that as a failure or something that's defective, so we need to throw it away. Scientists would be like, no. We do this like this, do that like that, do this like this, we get these results, and it caused this kind of chaos. We could use this to our advantage. And since we know exactly the results based on the mixture of the chemicals or whatever, we already know how to combat it, because we studied the negatives and the positives. So if we throw the coronavirus out there, negative, we already know how to deal with that. We already know how to deal with that. We just want to gather results. That's why they're taking tests. Anytime you test something, it's to get results. It's not to pass or to fail, like the emotional people see it. It's not about being positive, you know what I'm saying, having it, or being negative, not having it. That's how emotional people see it. It's about results. How are you responding? Let me jot this down. What kind of blood code this person got? or part of the ghetto environment they live in, what kind of foods they eat. All that being jotted down. These are the results based upon this diet, stress level, IQ, thought patterns, blood codes. They jot all that down. And if they want to say, when they jot all that down, that would be an effective circumstance that they was looking for. What they would do now is conjure up a vibration that nurture the next generation under that vibratorial blood spectrum. So they would create a generation of those people who become seduced by that vibration just off the results. Know what I mean? So scientists, they don't throw nothing away. When the scientists telling you that they failing on some experiments, they ain't failing nothing. Because all scientists is based on getting results. All of their study is based off results. It's based off getting results. That's why every time you see them, every time they show you a scientist, he always got the clipboard. He always got the board, the cube. He jots down everything because he knows all results. There is no failing or no passing. That's how they want the emotional people to see it. But it's all about getting results. And they use results as a weapon. You know what I mean? Straight up. Has always been and always will be about results. Ain't about right. Ain't about no wrong. Now, I mean, if the people who was breaking down right and wrong don't exist, if they was to break it down to a T and let you know that it's all results, the decisions that you would have been making would have been in line with results. Instead of looking for something good and not seeking something bad, you will be focusing on the results. And then the chemicals in your body that causes an imbalance in the energy, which is what they would call stress. And stress is like shock waves of energies that attack organs. You know what I mean? But if you was looking at it from a result perspective, you know what I mean? Speaking the language, you wouldn't get mad, nor would you get happy. The results I'm looking for. And let me examine these results that I obtained and see more about. All the time, scientists will study flaws. They study failure. In fact, scientists study failure in progress. Because you could learn a lot more from failing than you can from succeeding. Because when you quote unquote fail, speaking the language, that opens up so many different avenues. It opens up more avenues than when you succeed. You know what I mean? Nobody really likes to explore and study a failure path. Everybody want to focus on the successful path. You know what I'm saying? But the path to failing is just as or even more prominent than the path when you succeed. Because there's a lot of knowledge that you acquire when you fail. You learn new things when you fail. You know what I mean? In scientists, they use failure as a weapon. In other words, they set up the hood for you to fail. It's a design that was based on failure. You was never meant to succeed in the hood. In other words, they studied how cells behave and how they responded to certain energies based off certain environmental conditions. And they see that cells was being deprived and they was moving on this delusional belief spectrum. You know what I mean? So they studied those tactics of failing and they built a whole borough or cities and states with that failing construct in mind. So now you in the maze. All the decisions you make and the results you get is all based off you supposed to fail. But they still gather results because they study you failing so they could keep you failing. And you always fail when you put emotions first. Always. Always. There's not one so-called successful person on this planet who put emotions first. People who put emotions first always fail. Goes back to the relationships. Girls put emotions first in relationships. That's why their relationships always fail. Even guys. Fails. It's only a matter of time. You know what I'm saying? Some people hold on to already failed relationships. You'll hear them say things like, my relationship is hanging from a thread. I've been with this person this long. We might as well just stick it out. You know, that's a failed relationship. You know what I mean? Failed. Straight up. Yo, bro, about the tattoos, if you all about vibing high for real, it's already done, son. You just gotta stay the course. If you serious about it, the path that you're gonna be taking is gonna be a path that's gonna lead you to it. You know what I mean? You're gonna start seeing things that was already there. It might not make sense now, but when you see it, it will click. And when it click, there is no unclicking. You know what I mean? There is no unclicking when it clicks. All the time, man. I be having a lot of songs come in my head. You know what I mean? There's not a day that don't go by that I don't have a song coming in my head. Beats and all that. You know, like I stated before, I don't write songs down. I do it all in the head. It's like it's streamed into my head. You know what I mean? It's been so long since I actually sat down and wrote a song. Cause it's like one of the things is like when I'm doing songs, it's like it's so many different flows that just be coming through, and it's like I could never really put a flow down on paper. It's just words. So when I used to write it down on paper, there was times I used to forget the flow, and I'm just left there staring at words. Like, damn, what was the flow I was doing when I was saying this? Don't even remember, son. You know what I mean? And it came to a point where I just got lazy. Lazy in the sense that, man, I don't even want to write rhymes no more, man. You know, man, I'm going to just do it in the head. You know what I mean? Me partially being lazy, not wanting to write rhymes, pushed me in the joint to just do it in the head. Because it's like, when you write it down, you got the possibility of forgetting the flow, son. But it's something different when you write it in the head. It's like you just store it in memory. You know what I mean? And it's like you could just tap into the rhythm. You know what I mean? And you just release it. So hell yeah, I got a whole bunch of. There's always a song like I could hear somebody close a door, and just by me hearing that sound effect, I make a beat in my head, and I'll start rhyming. You know what I mean? Like any little sound I could hear, son. I could hear somebody whistle. I could hear a damn bike chain go around. I could hear somebody crush a paper bag. And it's like I hear that sound, and it's like I could pull it in my head and just like make a beat out of it and just start rhyming. You know what I mean? Straight up. So if you ever see me in the booth, I would never have my phone in my hand or a piece of paper in my hand. I just go in there, tell my engineer, put the beat on, son. I remember when I used to go to these studios back in the days. They was like, when I first started not writing it down, they used to be like, yo, where your pen, where your paper at, son? I'm like, yo, it's all in the head. It was like, what? And it was like the way how I used to build a song is like in sections. You know what I mean? Like I'll say a piece here, run it back, say a piece there, speed it up, say a piece here. It's like I'm building it like a puzzle. The engineers, they used to be baffled because they used to be looking at the screen like, what the freak is this guy doing, son? But when they played it back and they seen how it was in synchronicity, son, they was like blown away. They was like, yo, how the F did you do that? It's all in the head, son. You know what I mean? One of the reasons we had that ability to have extended storage in the hippocampus gland is because we knew certain details that we had was too profound to be written down. You know what I mean? In fact, that's one of the main reasons why the Egyptians took the brain. Most people say that when they used to bury the so-called blacks, they used to preserve the organs. When they used to do the embodiment, they used to wrap them up and like save the heart, the lungs. They used to be like, they used to preserve the organs, and the brain was always missing. They would get rid of the brain. They don't realize that the brain is the most important part of the body. When the body dips and the casket dips, the brain is more important because that stores all the data. It has all the data in the brain. You know what I mean? It has those glands. The pineal gland stores data of interactions you have with outer dimensional beings in other realms. All that data is stored in the pineal gland. You know what I mean? You have also data stored in the hippocampus gland from past lives and things of that nature. And your entire life experience is recorded and saved in the brain. So they took the brain because they knew the brain was extremely valuable. Everything is valuable, but when the body dips, the brain is extremely valuable. So that's why the ancestors took the brain. They didn't discard it and preserve everything else. They took the brain because they knew it was worth more than being preserved. You know what I mean? A preserved brain of a so-called ancient ancestor. Do you know how powerful that would be if the beast was to have that? Man, listen. Yeah, he strikes me as a little like... That'd be extremely powerful, son. They could have had one of those brains preserved and they could have hooked it up to one of these machines and actually see exactly what that being experienced that whole lifetime in and out of dimensions. You know what I mean? Straight up. I heard about those pyramids that's bigger than the ones out there in Giza.
Hello.
Yeah, son, walking out here, man. On an empty stomach, ain't eat nothing. I'm actually taking this, I took a colon cleanse the other day, son. And I'm doing this 7-day detox. 7-day cleanse. I ain't want to eat nothing. I mean, I normally don't eat nothing, but definitely ain't want to eat nothing or drink nothing. Be out here, then I gotta be running in the woods like a wild animal, using leaves. You know what I mean? So I'm like, yo, man, let me just go out here and get this walk about. You know what I mean? Yeah, dark-winged duck, mega duck. Huey, Dewey, and Louie. And the trials and tribulations that they experience up under the Junior Woodchuck guidebook, which would be like the Bible. You know what I mean? A launch pad McQuack and him always crashing. Launch pad McQuack would be the good guy, him crashing would be the bad guy. You know what I'm saying? Gizmo Duck with he was a damn nerd, but when he did his blabbering blabberskite, he turned into Gizmo Duck. And you know, he was a superhero, son. The good and the bad, but it's the same person, man. The Bugle Boys. They behind bars. You know what I'm saying? They behind bars. They thirsty to get out of jail. For what? To get money because they want to experience a positive life. You know what I mean? The Bugle Boys was 3 of them. That represents the hippocampus, the hypothalamus, and the pituitary gland. And the damn Scrooge McDuck money bin represents the pineal gland. You know what I mean? They always trying to reach the pineal, but you know they can't because they are trapped in the bar, in the vibration, the bar L vibration, positive and negative polarities, man. You know what I mean? Man, Harriet Tubman is an agent, bruh. They all agents. You know what I mean? They all agents for the beast. Anybody that the beast, you gotta know, this is something that I spoke about the Black History Month. That is like a Masonic monumental wall. It's no different than them making a wall and putting all the names of the dead Masons who came before them, their forefathers, in other words. Those people were the ones who served the beast. You know what I mean? They the ones who served the beast. They didn't free anybody. Where they at if they free? You know, because to really be free is to be able to leave Earth. To be able to leave this realm. You know what I mean? We trapped down this mother dud until we raise our vibe. You know what I mean? She ain't free nothing. And it's another Moses story, son. Another Masonic theme. Another superhero story or superwoman story. It's all fake, engineered prophets. Notice that all of your leaders failed. All of your leaders failed. All of your so-called black superheroes all got killed by the villain. So you see how they programming you subconsciously to look up to failures. You know what I mean? Because they all work for the beast. Those are engineered prophets. You know what I mean? Malcolm X got violated. Martin Luther King got violated. What's his other guy's name? Marcus Garvey got violated. You don't see how all your so-called heroes get violated by the beast? Why is that? Why is that? You know what I mean? That's because that's all part of the plan. It's all part of the plan. When you look up to these heroes and they have a circumstance that plays out like that, that puts you in a vibration of no hope. None. It puts you in a vibration of, damn, I don't know what to do. Every time somebody try to come look out for us, this white man always killing us. Like, damn, what are we gonna do, man? Like, there's no hope. That's what the purpose of those leaders was. The purpose of those leaders was to put you in a vibration of no hope, when you shouldn't even be having hope in the first place, because that all deals with the illusion. You know what I mean? But that's the purpose of them. They don't really bring you together. Because when you really bring people together, you raise leaders. You don't raise followers. You know what I mean? How those people were together, and as soon as those people died, the people who were supposed to be with them scattered like roaches when the lights come on. So they was never together. They was never together. They was pretending to be together, you know, like the conscious community. When they have their little debates on YouTube, they come together in these temples, but then when the debate or the ceremony or the seance is over, what do they do now? Everybody leaves and go back home with their pockets lighter than how it was when they first came in. So how they came together? How they come? You see, the reality is you would never come together based on emotions, because that's not how the soul works. You don't work that way. You would never come together based on emotions. You will have to come together based off results. You know what I mean? Results that would have to do with us doing what we were supposed to do, which is to oversee this whole sector of space. That's it. All that other stuff in between, talking about getting the big piece of land in Africa and getting gold and all this money and all this stuff, that's all distractions. You would never come together for that. You got a so-called black people right now that's millionaires or billionaires. They ain't come together. So what makes you think that's gonna make them come together? In fact, when so-called black people get money, they pull away. The only time they come through is when they want you to spend money on them, or when they want to floss to make you feel bad so they could feel good. It's the only time. But other than that, they ain't trying to deal with you, bro. Black History Month, that's all the agents for the beast. Everybody up on that calendar for Black History Month was an agent for the beast. Everybody, son. They all Masons. You know what I mean? I find that strange that all these prophets are Masons. Just like your man Jesus Christ. Your man Jesus Christ was a prophet, and he was also a Mason. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure they probably already jumped on that wagon, because ain't nobody never said that before, but they probably jumping on the wagon now. Your man Jesus Christ was a Mason. You look at the whole story, is Masonry all in it. That wasn't a poor robe he was wearing. That's a cloak, hooded attire, which dictates one that's down with a Masonic community. In fact, his whole teaching arrangements is based on Masonry. 12 years. Oh, he teaches for 12 years. Then he disappear. Ain't that what you're doing when you're going to school? You're walking a Masonic path. In fact, that's why you got a backpack on, a book bag, a cube bag. You know, because you're the traveling fool. You're going to school from grades 1 to 12. How many disciples? 12 disciples. How many months in a year? 12 months. How many hours in a half day? 12. Clear 12 12s that look like stuffed shells. 12 gauge. You know what I mean? And then you go on to the college, which represents the 13. When you go to become a master in whatever you study, you get your bachelor's, your whatever degree, your master degree. That's when you go to become a master mason. The 13. Jesus represents the 13. You know what I mean? So those are degrees. Your diplomas are degrees. Your high school diploma is a degree. That's why you have an oblong square on top of your head. You know what I'm saying? They call it a mortarboard on top of your a graduation hat. That is an oblong square. It's a Masonic cube. But you see, you stand under the cube. You're not even on the cube. The cube is on your head, which means the Masons is above you. Because they fed you information, which is diluted knowledge, which is worthless data. You know what I mean? Data that you could only execute to be a servant of the system. And the robe that you wear, they tell you about, is a graduation robe. No, that is a Masonic attire. You are part of a Masonic society. The people who owns, say for instance, we in Brooklyn, there's a team of Masons that own Brooklyn. And the schools that they set up in Brooklyn are owned by those Masons that they call families. So when these families are giving you studies to study in these schools, they are nurturing you under a diluted Masonic code. They are teaching you masonry in school. But the type of masonry that they're teaching you in school is only masonry that will have you serving them. You serve them when you serve the system. They give you BS, watered down Masonic teachings. That's what your social studies is, mathematics is, your all these subjects that they got in school, science. They're giving you dumbed down versions of Masonic teachings in school. So you go through grades 1 through 12. Then you graduate, meaning that you gradually ate something. You didn't fully consume the whole pie to understand what's really going on. But you understand the oblong square that's over your head. You're standing under the cube. You're holding your diploma, which is a degree. It's a degree. All degrees are frequencies of consciousness or knowledge, awareness. Then you go into college and you take on another subject. Then you get another degree. Then those degrees gives you the consciousness so you could go into another Masonic society, whether that be working for Con Ed, Verizon, or Merrill Lynch, World Trade Center, stock firm, and New York Stock Exchange, whatever, working for Bank of America, Chase, whatever branch that is. Notice they call it a branch because it's attached to a tree, or should I say it's attached to a log that's attached to a tree. They call it a branch because it is attached to a log. Why you think they have the word log in the word lodge? Like a Masonic lodge. And they all have a log in a lodge. They showed you that in the that place they got up in Harlem called the Apollo. When everybody go on stage, what do? They rub the log. Apollo the sun, masonry. You know what I mean? Masonry. So you go off to one of these branches and you work for Masons. You know what I'm saying? But the kind of teachings they gave you is worthless. Slaves are engineered. And they engineer them all the time because they study failure. You know what I mean? So when you're looking at the 12 and all that, Like I stated before, that all got to do with masonry, man. It's all masonry. It's all encoded. All encoded. So when you're looking at your man, that's why you're looking at your man Jesus Christ. It's similar to your everyday life, school. Jesus disappeared when he was 12 years, came back when he was 31. He taught for two or three more years, however the story say. Said the man died at 33 years old, and he rose when he was 33 in the third. Rose on the third day. Died when he was 33, and he rose on the third day. That's 33 and a third. That's the highest degree of Freemasonry. One of the highest degrees of Freemasonry. So that's why I stated before, Christianity is not a religion. It's a degree of Masonry. Jesus Christ is a Mason. That's why he had the symbol of the sun, the crux. You know what I mean? Because the sun symbolizes Mason. That's why he's the son. Mason, Mason. Jesus. You know what I mean? And that was a robe he was wearing. Him being stabbed or him being hung up with 3 nails. 3 is heavily associated with masonry. For instance, the Holy Trinity. In fact, when you look at these bloods out here, which is all associated with masonry, they have what is known as 3 burn marks on their left shoulder. That represents their paw prints. 3 burn marks. Bruce Lee had the 3 slash on his chest. Jesus Christ had the 3 nails. It's masonry talk. So I stated before, the Bloods and the Crips was created by the Masons. You know what I mean? To sacrifice. Just like these damn whores and these abortion clinics was created by the Masons. To sacrifice. And you would know this if you would stop looking at things emotionally and start seeing things for what they are. You know what I mean? So I found it quite strange that all of these prophets are Masons. You know what I mean? Straight up. Yo, get you a super colon cleanse, man. Get you a super colon cleanse. It's a green joint. You know what I mean? Do some research on turpentine. Go on YouTube and type in Jennifer Daniels and turpentine. She breaks down to you what turpentine is. You can do your research on it. You know what I mean? Do your research on that. Make sure you get the good one if you do decide to get it. And follow the instructions. If you do decide to take it, start with extremely small quantities. You know what I mean? It would be good to take that simultaneously when you're doing a cleanse, like a nice colon cleanse. Because that way you could, and drink a lot of water, distilled water. You know what I mean? Because alkaline water offset the turpentine. You get the distilled water, it'll carry the turpentine more effectively through your system, and it will kill parasites and worms and eggs. You will see all of that come out in your stool in a couple days. You know what I mean? You could do some research on that and just go straight organic, man. If you're gonna eat meat, which I don't suggest, but if you're gonna eat it, if you're gonna eat beef, at least make sure that it's 100% grass-fed. No chemicals, nothing. And if you're gonna eat it like once a week. You You know what I mean? I don't advise you eating chicken or none of that. But if you're going to eat that, don't fry it. Boil it. You know what I mean? Or try to finesse a way to steam it. You know what I mean? If you're going to eat fish, the only fish I would suggest, but I'm not suggesting, is you get some wild salmon. Get some wild salmon. Also get you some chlorophyll, because that offset the mercury intake that's in the salmon, the wild salmon. And, you know, just get up on your greens and your grains. You know what I mean? Get off alcohol, bud, and all that, and just go straight clean, son. You know what I mean? Straight up. You could go in any dimension when you're vibrating high. The thing is not to be trapped in it. So it's not a matter of how high you can vibrate to not come back here. You could vibrate high and still come here. You could vibrate high, come here for one life cycle, just to leave a significant message, and then leave. When you so-called die, you leave. You know what I'm saying? So it's not so much about coming high, vibrating high, and not coming back, because all high beings could exist in any realm. It could go in any dimension. But low frequency beings cannot go in every dimension. They are locked off. Word up. Yeah, I got some of that licorice root. You gotta be careful with that too, man, because there's an herb that you're not supposed to mix it with. Like that joint is strong. It's an herb you're not supposed to mix it with. Can't think of the herb right now, but I got this herb book. But when you like, I've been experimenting with these herbs, and it's like certain herbs that I got, they so powerful. It's like you can't mix it with other herbs, because it could actually cause a disturbance. You know, it's like mixing gasoline and fire, son. You know what I mean? You use it for a purpose, but if that's not the results that you're looking for at that moment, it could be problematic. You know what I mean? Just get up on that, just get up on your water, man. Just drink a lot of spring water, alkaline. I mean, if you want to be familiar with masonry, yeah. If you get into studying masonry, you will see that all of these societies is built on it. Everything. From cartoons to clothes to culture to food, movies, goods, cars, everything. You will see how everything has masonry encoded in it in some shape, form, or fashion. Even the house that you sleep in have masonry encoded in it. You know what I'm saying? That's why the top of your house look like the pyramid, the apex of the pyramid. You know what I'm saying? Normally when you're looking at certain houses, they have that 3 fixed attire, meaning they have a window to the left, a door in the middle, and a window to the right. That's the Trinity. You know what I mean? When you're looking at, like, they would have the bedroom, well, they call it where the parents stay now, but that used to be known as the master bedroom. In fact, they call the beds the master bed, master size bed, or the king size bed. Those are all Masonic titles. Even slave is a Masonic title. You know what I mean? It's a servant of the Masons. A slave is a title who served the Masons. Not like how these people be trying to break it up to you. You're looking at this crosswalk. That's masonry you're looking at. You know what I mean? That's all masonry. So, stop sign. You know what I'm saying? Do not enter stop sign traffic lights. traffic pole. That's all masonry. When you're looking at these poles, these light poles, as I stated before in past videos, you're looking at an electric pillar or an electric calendar. A candle, should I say. It's a candle. Masons use candles because they represents the pillar burning. The burning of the pillars. You know what I mean? You go inside the church, you see the altar. And they have 3 candles on the altar. Those candles are positioned specifically because it represents a Masonic attire. The priests have the chalice, which is the pendulum, which have the frankincense and myrrh, which is a substance that summons spirits. When he's swinging the pendulum back and forth and the aroma is coming out the chalice, you know what I mean? That frankincense and myrrh apparatus, he's summoning spirits. You know what I'm saying? Church is satanic. All churches are Masonic lodges. All of them. All Meccas, mosques, they are all Masonic lodges. All of them. Reverend is a Masonic title. Priest is a Masonic title. Pastor is a Masonic title. In fact, that's why the Reverend have the black robe and he have that little white cube right beneath his Adam's apple. The black and white checkerboard. You know what I'm saying? When you're looking at the Pope, the attire that he wears, that's a Masonic robe. It's no different than when you're looking at a judge in a court, which is a Masonic house. That's a robe that the judge is wearing. Judge is a Masonic title. Cops are Masons. That's why they have blue and red on top of the car. Blue and red is the colors of the Masonry. Just like the Crips and the Bloods. It's all Masonry. So if you study symbolism, as I stated before, if you know how to read symbolism, all of this would make sense. It would all make sense. If you would stop looking to feel good and hoping to not feel bad and just focus on the results, you would be enlightened. You would see and you would know. You wouldn't believe, which is to not know. Believing and knowing is not synonymous. You would know. You would not believe. When you believe is because you don't know. That's what you would want it to be when you believe. You want it to be that way based on a feeling. But the reality is not that way because it has nothing to do with feelings. Straight up. If you study Masonry, study symbolism. You're going to see. You're going to see what was already there be revealed. You're going to know what the holy water is, Bible is, the Quran. You're going to know why they have church on Sunday and Saturday. You're going to know why they got the 12 beads. When you saying 12 Hail Marys, back to that 12. You know what I mean? They keeping you trapped in polarities, man. Hurry up. But yeah, man, do some research on that turpentine, man. Know what I mean? Get you a colon cleanse. Make you a lot of water detox. You know what I mean? If people that you hang around ain't on the same wave, you're gonna have to get away from them. Because all they're gonna do is potentially pull you back into that positive and negative polarities, huh? In other words, you're gonna have to kill your ego. You're gonna have to kill yourself. As I stated before, I look for many ways to kill myself every day. Because every time you kill a portion of you, you birth a new you. You know what I mean? So you gotta look forward to killing yourself so you could birth that new you. So you're gonna have to get rid of people that ain't about that light, because they really did hold you back. And that's their purpose, to hold you back, keep you vibrating low. But yo, man, I'm about to shut this live down. Y'all already know what it is. What's the name of the herb book? Yeah, I don't even got the name. I'm gonna have to get the name when I get in the crib. But they got a bunch of herbs up in there for everything, son. Like whatever you got going on, they got some herb that could take care of it. It don't matter what it is. You could have cancer. You could be blind. You could have tumors. You could have internal bleeding. You could be burning. You know what I mean? You could have erectile dysfunction. You could have heart problems, clogged arteries. You could have anything going on with you, man. They got a herb in there that you could take to neutralize the ailment that you are experiencing, son. You know what I mean? They got a herb in there. You know what I mean? But you're gonna have to switch the diet as well, because 9 times out of 10 the diet is what brought. And this is something that I stated before in past videos, that the diets that they have, like this Western culture people consuming, that is sorcery. That is actually a seance that these people is doing that summon demons in them. When they eating those kind of foods, that is a seance they participating in that summon demons. They don't even know it. Because anytime you summon an entity, you use ingredients. Whether that be positions, chanting, or you're using some kind of elements. Whether that be smoke, fire, some mineral, some crystal, whatever it is. Using some kind of substance to summon them. But what they did was put these ingredients in food form. You know what I mean? And the ingredients is like neutralized when it's in the food form. When you take it into your body and you begin to start breaking it down and digesting it, that's the ritual being performed. In other words, the chemical composition that is being released and communicated through the cells, that is the summoning of the entities. And you call those entities to certain portions of your organs. You know what I mean? Your Western culture diet is a sorcery menu. A menu that's based off of sorcery. That summon demons. Because as I stated before, all diseases is the last name of a demon. Like disease, that name will be the last name of demons. You know what I mean? The cloak name. When you have like cancer, that's a society of demons. Just like you have a term like Puerto Ricans. That's a society of people. You know what I mean? So when you're looking at cancer, that's a society of demons. When you're looking at pneumonia, that's a society of demons. And you summon them when you participate in the sorcery by consuming GMOs. I mean, but yo, man, I'm about to get up out of here. Y'all already know what it is. Raise the va, raise the va, raise the va.